Okay, I'm going to try Larghetto by Fernando Sor. And then if we have time, study number 19 in the Segovia 20 studies.
Things here. Musically, it's already beautiful. I would just ask you also about the right hand, as I commented before, just slightly turn it a little bit more with an angle when you're playing on the trebles.
Okay.
Yeah, to get more of rather. That's very articulated, fine. When you play it fast, it's great. When you have, you know, some study that it's very fast, okay. But if you want to get that, yeah. Yeah, and also in terms of vibrato, rather than using this vibrato, yeah, this is more sort of towards the classical music, because this changes the pitch more.
Okay.
Basically, vibrato changes the pitch of the note, yes, but this is less. So it's sort of like you have the note and the vibrato underneath it, just helping and embellishing it. If you go this way, it just changes it a little bit too much.
Okay.
You know.
Do you ever use the other one and at times, or more pretty much the first way?
In the music that specifically asks for that, okay. And it's more for pitch changes, as well. You will see in the concert with some of the pieces that I do that. You know,
okay.
There's a blues.
Yes, right.
Things like that, yeah. But in this, no, it's a different kind of thing. Also, with the vibrato, what can happen in you can experiment with the how do you say? Speedo. So when you are playing something else, the vibrato is faster. But when you are playing it slower, also it can go slower as well. So it gives you more sort of ability to do more things with vibrato. Not only like that. So just give me this. Right hand. Get in touch with the string with a little bit more of the fingertips. That's it. You see, the sound is a little bit warmer.
More flesh.
Yeah, more flesh. Yeah. There you go. Very nice, very nice. Now, another thing musically, let's say it says larghetto, so it's sort of like largo, which is very slow tempo. Larghetto maybe not as slow as largo, so it's a little bit faster. But still, your tempo seems to me it's a little bit more towards andante, rather than larghetto. Yeah, so I think it should be a little bit slower, and also just to have a little bit more sense of a direction where certain phrases are going, right? So it begins with an upbeat, right, on the third beat. So the first one would end right there.
Okay.
Right? And then the next phrase begins, or let's say the motive, again on the upbeat.
Okay.
So what is very important for me is to hear, and for the time being now what we will do is like the same like with the phrasing, we will exaggerate the comma or the full stop.
Would you exaggerate the beginning of the dotted notes, or would you exaggerate the first beat of the measure?
Exaggerating.
And in terms of an accent beat?
I think it goes towards the first.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
Yeah, it goes towards that.
Traditionally the first beat is
Even if you
Right,
sing it.
okay.
But even more than that, what is more important to me, what happens? What happens at the end?
Okay.
There's a sense of that. Sorry, little decrescendo, especially because harmonically also it has that appoggiatura. This, you know, sus or suspended and resolution. And then, and also rhythmically, it has a certain structure. It's all the time the same. Harmonically, it changes. In pitch, it changes. So it's the 3 times that it starts in the same way. So it has to. That sequence has to also grow in the expression as well.
Okay.
Okay. So let's try it together, and I'll maybe do it now a little bit over the top, just to sort of
Accent. Okay.
emphasize like the musical expression, and then we'll go back. Okay, together. And okay, so now it's a little bit too much, but I wanted to make a little bit more of those arches.
What was too much?
Huh?
What was too much?
Of timing.
Oh, of timing.
Timing,
Okay,
yes, I did.
okay.
I'm stopping this phrase
Too
just
much.
in purpose. I'm putting
Okay.
full stop instead
I
of
see.
comma.
I see. Good way to put it.
But I just want to emphasize that a little bit more. Once again, now let's try to do it without it. And crescendo towards that. That's it. And maybe the second one. Sort of very sad. Now play me that again. The only thing what I want again is that first string to get a little bit that
A little more of this.
more
More flesh.
more flash, more of that angle, because the way your nails and the fingertip come along, I think it's very nice.
Yeah, I've been working on
Let
that.
me try it. Maybe to show off. There we go.
Yes, and if I look at your nails, I'm just curious. I know everyone has different.
I don't think they will
flesh.
help you much because
That's
mine
right, you're
are
different, yeah.
totally different.
Well, what I've been doing is I've been trying to get less nail here so
Mhm.
that there'll be more flesh.
Yeah.
But I have problems with this finger.
It's gonna everyone is gonna
finger
be
is
different. Yeah. But
Yeah.
guide yourself by ear.
With the ear.
You have a very good sound, very articulated, except it's a little bit too naily.
Okay.
For me.
Yeah, well, they're
So
a lot
just-
shorter now than they were
Yeah,
last
a
time.
little
I
bit shorter
saw
and
them.
just
Yeah.
to here, just to look for that flash to round it up.
Okay.
You know? Just to
Okay.
get that. Okay?
Picture
So
it.
this, just here, the last phrase. That's right. They're going on. Okay?
Now
a little bit
there-
more of crescendo. We have,
Okay.
several E's. So it has to go towards the G. So make a little more of a crescendo.
Now here I try to play a little bit nasal, just to give it a different.
Okay.
That's my interpretation. I don't know if that's
Fine, as long as you will give me a little bit of warmer before
More
that.
one.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Now, one little technical thing here is you play this and you change right up on in between the 16th note and the chord.
Okay.
You change the bar here.
Okay.
That's the place where you have the least amount of time to make a change.
Right.
Thus, it's not connected. You have the most time after the chord, because the chord is a full half note, right?
Yes,
If you have
yes.
It's ending.
Okay.
Change.
Okay, so I don't, I mean, it sounds better not to give that 2 beats then. It's better to.
No, you can give it one.
Give it
two,
one and then.
change.
Oh, change, I
Just
see. I see
lift the
what
bar
you're
at that point.
saying.
Play me from here.
Yeah. See where am I? Right here.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Stop.
Then-
Change. And then we have
Yeah. Oh, it's much better.
Let's go to the fast. I like that. You're doing this. Why changing the fingering from what's written?
Yes, I do it both ways.
Much more legato. You have
Much more
two,
legato,
two
yes,
fingers that can
using
reach out. You can
2,
reach
4.
out easily. Yeah.
Right, much more.
I can understand. You know, this is very difficult in the beginning.
Yeah,
It's
oh,
one
no,
of
I
the
can
things
do
that,
it.
that I've
Yeah.
seen. But you are already at the level. You should not shun away
Yes.
from that.
No,
You
no,
should
I
just
didn't. I, you know,
use it.
I guess there's a debate in my mind whether to use the same finger to move, you know, or
No,
not.
no. This is much better
Yes, it is. Yeah.
for legato. That's good. Let's do the other one.
Okay. Now this one's a little tough, a little new for me.
The
Not
B
new,
minor.
but the studying the. And the reason I'm doing this is to develop the strength of my left hand.
To
And also
what?
To develop the strength in my left hand and also to stretch my hand.
Okay. I wonder about that slur. Why is he using the slur? Because it kept going all the time without the slurs, and at the end, you can change the fingering.
Yes. These are
Just at the
Azabagic.
end. Because, no, the point is that it has all the time, in the chord, every note is on a different string, and it gives it that really nice harp-like resonance.
So you better take the
Except
slurs
here
out.
at the
Yes.
end,
Yes.
where you kept going all the time, that really nice little. So maybe go into a third position, play it here. It would be the
Sounds
same.
better.
Especially because in that slow tempo,
Slurring it, yeah.
you
But it's in the
hear
music,
it
so
as something very, very different articulation, right?
I'd be curious to see Sor's original work, because I know he modified some of Sor's work, and
Look,
but
it might be that you have. I approach music this way. He writes a great piece of music, and I find it with collaboration with the composers today. They write something, they send us the music, we look at it, we revise it, and we say, no, take this note out, put this here, change it a little bit. Oh yeah, great idea, right? So Sor was a guitarist himself as well. So I'm saying like, we can take upon us certain liberty to change some things if it has a musical sense, right? So not everything in the original, we have to say, we have to play it by original. Different guitars, smaller things and
Yeah,
whatever,
smaller
right?
guitar,
So
didn't he?
at the time, to play this piece on the period instrument, it would be much easier because everything is smaller and
Yes.
closer together.
I
So
heard he
there,
had big hands too. He had
Right.
big hands and a smaller
so
guitar. So yeah, so
this
piece
is
might have
more
been difficult.
challenging today.
It is, yeah.
But so to go to this point, what do you have?
Oh, okay.
Because you already have so many
Okay.
sheets, so you
Play
can
the
do
B
that.
flat there.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
Just play that B flat chord here with a small bar across 4 strings because you don't need
That's
it.
right. I don't need all the right. Oh, that's much easier. Boy, that's a big help right there.
Ah, well, okay, good.
Sounds better. Sounds a whole lot better.
Great. Now, you are doing great things with your left hand.
Okay.
With the right hand as well. As I said, I just want you to think really sort of in the aesthetical aspect of a tone on a classical guitar, to warm it up a little bit to when you are playing this. To get that rather too much of a nail, but warmer tone. In general, warmer tone. That's right. With the left hand, there are some shifts that are more problematic than others.
Yes.
Most of the time, you have no problem whatsoever with a bar.
Okay.
Few things that I would suggest, like for example, this very beginning. This is one of the most difficult chord positions for me. I hate it. I always go to this one. I love this one much more than this one. But in this case, we cannot because it would put an F here. But instead, what I would do, instead of holding the bar, put the bar there, that is sort of in a standard position which you are covering all 5 strings. What I do here, I'm accommodating the chord first. Now let's go to the chord. And now, when I put my bar here, I make it so I arch my fingers so that I have 5th and 1st covered. I don't need these 3 strings because I'm playing it here.
Save some muscle there too. Strength. It's such
Save
a
some
strength
strength.
piece. Yeah, this piece
Exactly.
is.
You can say, oh, but the purpose of this is for me to get my bar better. Yes, sure, it could be that purpose. But if we think musically, you already have a good hand, so think more musically. So we don't need these 3.
That's going
Right?
to too. Yeah.
And like this, you can stay for hours, right?
Yes.
Whereas if you press this one, it's
Yes.
already harder, much harder,
A lot harder.
right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, go on.
But that's going to be
Same thing, right?
Yeah, I'm just going to practice.
Okay, so here's another thing that you can do. So as I said here, this bar, just pay attention to the first and the fifth.
Okay.
And very often, sort of like a rule in general, you look what are the strings you need underneath your bar if you are holding the whole chord, and you have like, yeah, also like in an F major you have this.
Right.
So you pay attention to the ones you need. You don't need.
I don't need those.
You need these three, so you get a little bit more of a flexibility. It's sort of like control of a bar. You know, a little bit higher level of working.
Barring,
and you can do that.
Versus the standard
Now,
strings.
the shifts. What I want you to do with shifts is to think that between one position and another, don't think of blocks, don't think of all chords, that you are changing this into this. What is the chord?
Yeah.
But that you, which will also facilitate the ease and music, it will give it music a better legato, is that you make a shift by putting fingers as you need them. Yes, because what happens, for example, if you go into this, maybe this, don't even lean on with the first finger, just give me this. Once you secure this, you get a good grip, then it's very easy to extend the first finger towards this. And it's very secure. Rather than coming too soon with all of them.
Right.
So you come out of this. So instead of doing, you know, all four fingers in the block, which is sort of like a demanding problem, you slice it up in a few little steps, and they just easily fall into place.
And I don't need that first finger there right away. As soon as now I need it.
You
So
just
I
go
don't need to-
one finger at a time, and you place them as they come. Yes. And you don't even need that big of a, you know, movement of the arm. It's just the finger that presses. Yes, you see? And it's way easier. Yes, go on.
Now this, keen on what you just said, when I play this chord, I probably don't need that. All I need is this. Just
Yeah.
now there I need the two.
Yeah, and that, for example, show me that in the
So-
music,
so
because
that-
the bar can come much later, 2 notes later. Well, we say 2 notes is not really much, but in this sort of micromanagement it is. That's
It's right
fifth
here.
position, right?
Yeah, the fifth
So you're
position.
playing.
So you need the there. I think you may need a full bar.
And then you don't even need a full bar. Look,
Well, that's right. I don't. Yeah, all I need there. I only need is 3 strings. And I'm playing the 4.
and you
Yes.
just give that. No. Across 3 only 3. Stay there.
Okay.
Lift 2 and 4.
Lift 2 and 4.
Move this one. Add.
Oh. Yes.
So in the shifts, we also what we want to do. Sorry, in the bar, we reduce the bar from the full into how many strings we need. As a rule of thumb.
Say string 3.
Right.
From 6 to 3. I've been playing all 6.
Don't press the whole bar unless you need the whole bar.
Right.
Save the string. Use for the shifts either finger by finger, or when you come to this, which is use the common finger that you have, and just so you know by doing this, it's much harder.
The muscles in my left hand. Thank you.
Well,
If they
tell
could
them
talk.
they're welcome. Aha, and another thing here, it's curious for me, what is he doing? Segovia. Sorry. Then you go down and then back here. Why is he doing this? When there's no need for one more shift in between, Just stay.
Oh, stay there. Yeah, I wondered about that.
No need
The
whatsoever.
only reason I could think of is
Then he's
doing a little.
yeah,
And I think he
which
does that on
indicates
his
me also that sort of
He
circle
does it
well.
where, right. He puts a little.
He's doing something like that.
Yeah, and I think he likes that higher note. Maybe he
Fine.
gets interpretation.
No
but-
problem. The only,
But it does make it more difficult.
especially because you have one here and it has to go to a bar.
Right. Right. So you lose a little musicianship there in terms of, yeah.
And again, you know, here's one position, then you add this, then you add that. It's a hard one. So there's just these few little of these rules that you can apply. So stay here in the first position. Stay, and then change it here.
Okay.
You know.
That'll help.
And here, as I said, stay in the. Oh, let's
Just
take your
play that.
computer on. So
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, this is.
I don't press some.
Yeah, I'm trying to put everything on my.
Third position here, so this would be fourth finger on the sixth string. The rest you will figure out.
This will be nice too, just to play it. Oh, that's what you got there, right?
Yeah,
I can play
and
it
then-
just up here, this the B flat.
You know, so since you will see, you said you will see me again, right?
Yes.
Just revise
you do
this
All right.
and well, another piece if you will.
Sure.
But what I want, these few rules that we have
Yes.
laid out here,
I'll try to work on
you
it.
work on it,
Right.
come back and say, I've done this and that and that here.
Yes. I'll try to break that memory.
Especially
Yeah.
in the ones that you find that are very difficult.
I can look at every measure
Right.
and look at every measure and try to use my head
Yeah, exactly.
as far as, you know, I have a tendency to just, I see a bar, he doesn't have half bars. I notice that some people, like the Segaris books, they tell you half bar,
Well,
full
this
bar.
indication,
Mhm.
3 out of 6.
Mhm.
Who wrote that?
I don't know. I think I may have written that just out of curiosity.
Yeah, because I started using that sort of indication, you know, 2 out of 6, 3 out of 6, 4, 5. You know,
Okay.
4/6, that means you will be on a 4 strings.
Okay.
So
I think
these
I
few
heard
rules that we
on,
have
on
laid
your
out,
master
write them
class
down
2
and
years
watch
ago.
the video,
Right.
put it in practice, I'll revise it then
Okay.
next time. All right?
Okay.
Good.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, sir.